So, welcome everyone to this body whispering exploration. It's called Shh, Your Body's Talking. And that's because most of the time we don't shut up and listen to our bodies. We basically ignore them, whatever,
Blah, 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 blah. Exactly. That's what we do.
exactly that.
Yeah.
So, and with me now, I have Dr. Dain here, who's written this book, Body Whispering. A new way of seeing being and healing. So, Dane, what is body whispering? What happens if we shut up and don't go blah, 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 blah?
Oh, so much. Our bodies are this, they're sweet, they're potent, they're kind, they're a space of non-judgment we have been desiring forever. And we act like we have to get it from someone outside of us that has their own shit going on. But we have it right here. We have like the best vehicle for living a life that has ever been invented,
Mm.
and we don't value it. And I think part of the reason we don't value it is because it came so easy. You know, you got it when you got here. You're like, here it is. Here's your issue for this lifetime, you know? But
It's
as you listen, you can create what other people would call miracles. Thank you. My body is being nurtured by mate right now.
like it. When you wrote, I think it's in the embodiment book where you write about the body as, your best friend, best bot, BBB kind of that. And you were assigned your best friend basically when you were born. And then we keep ignoring the one being friend, I don't know what to call it, that's with you the entire time you're here in
Yeah.
particular, you know, um, this particular time on Earth, whatever we.
Yeah. Yeah. And the funny part is, like, if you didn't, though, it would be too easy, you know? Thank you. It's like it would just be too easy. You'd have everything coming with ease. So as I say that, everybody out there in internet world watching, just let it sink in a little bit more than you've allowed it to before. That's how easy it is. But we think if it's anything that is readily available to us, we don't value. And so this is an unlearning of all of the fixed points of view, the judgments, the harshness that we've learned is associated with bodies that wasn't ever ours. So we can actually reclaim what is ours with our bodies.
I had this experience a few years ago. I had a lot of stuff up with my body and I had worked on it in different ways. And I was walking down this, hear this phrase in my head, you and me body. And it was,
Mhm.
it was so amazing. It sounds again so easy, but it was like I realized we're together. We're together in this. We'll find a way. We'll resolve this. We'll change this. And it's you and me. It's you and me body. We're like, we're
I
here.
love that. I love that. If we just, there's one of the wonderful things about Access is we have so many tools, so many things we can give people that because who knows what's going to work in any situation because it's an energetic thing with you and your body. But if everybody here just took that, you and me body,
Hmm.
like just that right there, that is just that's the essence of all of it. It's like you and me body.
Hmm. Well, I also notice with you, like anytime I'm around you, if we're in a class or um, just working together, hanging out together, my body changes and it gets happier. So it's like your body continuously whispers to bodies
Uh-huh.
around,
Yeah,
around
it
you.
does. It does. And here's the interesting part. Our bodies do that for each other.
Mm.
And one of the things I'm really grateful for about you is you acknowledge that. And to a to a huge extent, actually, that's not something that's ever been acknowledged about us because we all do it. And so, it's like and when you acknowledge it, it allows me to acknowledge it because I'm just being something. I'm not thinking, hey, body, talk to Katarina's body and create this and this and that, My body's being my body. I'm being me. And my body's like, here you go, body. My being happens to know all kinds of stuff. And so I got all kinds of stuff. So here's some awesome stuff. Like here's a space, here's a way of being. And so, and the part of bringing that up is that because we weren't acknowledged for it and because it doesn't feel like anything, we always assume that we're somehow a lesser creature, like we're not doing things like that, but we are all the time.
And it reminds me of this with access, like even bars, the very first thing in in
And
access,
express,
in
express bars.
Ashbush Bosh. But in that is about learning how to receive. And it's what I noticed too is that the way I receive in my body has increased so much. The more consciousness I'm willing to acknowledge that I be and have, the more my body's actually willing to receive from other bodies, from the world, from everywhere. So could you talk a little bit about that, like the receiving that's part of the whole whispering, the whole hearing?
Yeah, and that's the whole thing that occurs with recognizing that we live in a world where people are shouting verbally and energetically a lot of the time and receiving. So if you're if you're standing there and somebody's shouting at you, how much of that do you desire to receive?
Right.
Not
Nothing.
at all. The opposite. Can you please go away now? Thank you. Can I go away? Thank you very much. But that's what our bodies have felt too, both from the energies they've received that have been really intense, harsh abuse, judgment. And so when you allow them to recognize that there is a soft space for them to land and live, and that you will be that with them, there's a receiving that occurs of a totally different way of being alive, because a huge amount of how we perceive the world is through and with our bodies. Our bodies are like a cat's whiskers, you know, they're the sensory organism through which we perceive the world. And they also have a consciousness of their own. So it's not just that they're a receipt point or a space, but including them in the computation allows this beauty of receiving to occur where the quality of being alive takes on a much brighter tone and a much more. And the interesting part about the willingness to receive that opens up is it's the willingness to receive not just the good stuff without a point of view, but the willingness to receive anything. It's like, you know, exactly like you said, you and me, body. So
Mm.
it's like, you know, it's interesting how you could, if you have a really good friend and you know you're going to go through something difficult, but if you have your friend there, it's always easier. You know, if you have somebody that supports you, and it's a very similar thing with our bodies where it's like knowing that you have this conscious, potent creature that's there to go on the journey with you, but also to have your back and as you have its back, it's like it changes the whole perspective of everything because now you're no longer alone.
Mm. That is so true. And then actually exactly that. I have, it's like I'm no longer alone because you and me body. It is one
Yeah.
of the amazing things. So that, how did you start to discover that for you? Like, how did you start to
Oof.
discover that you could hear your body?
Well, I have to thank Gary Douglas for that because he pointed out things that that were truly miraculous about my body. And I was like, oh, and he was the first person who said, hey, ask your body what it wants to eat. And everybody else was saying, you need this percentage of protein and this percentage of carbohydrates and blah, 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 blah. Now, what's interesting is, so I did this workout when I first got to university. I went to a gym and they had this nutrition thing, and of course I put it all on my credit card, and you know they had nutrition and training together, tailored for your body, quote unquote. Which their idea of your body was each type of body requires basically a different percentage of fat, protein, and carbohydrates. So for my particular body, I went through the thing and I was living in the dorm, and so they were like, eat this and this and this, and I was like, okay. And I went to the dorm, and the only thing I took from that is eat as much as you possibly can. And I ate everything that I saw in front of me and everything that tasted good and everything my body wanted. And it was interesting because I gained 30 pounds of muscle in 3 months and I lost 4% body fat. Now, you're not supposed to be able to do that because I wasn't doing steroids. I was doing food. And the poor dorm people who plotted out, people eat this much. Let's just say I got my money's worth on my dorm food, but you're not supposed to be able to do that. I told Gary, he's like, you're not, how? I'm like, I don't know. I just ate and worked out and I was very consistent and it was something important to me. And he's like, people don't do that except if they're on steroids. I'm like, I did, and it was just, and that was this thing where I would tell him these different things. He'd go, people don't do that. I'm like, I did, you know, and at one point, Gary and I would work out together and we were going to this gym in Santa Barbara. And one time he's like, let me ask you a question. Did you used to work out with people who were taller than you? I'm like, oh yeah. My primary workout partner when I was in college, he was like 5 inches taller than me. And he's like, because every time we walk into this damn gym, you're 4 inches shorter than me. And I was like, huh. And while we were having this conversation, we were standing there looking in the mirror, and I realized as soon as he said it, I realized I was shorter than him. But as soon as he acknowledged it, like in a moment, I was exactly his height. Like you're not supposed to be able to do that. And here's the other part is Gary pointed it out to me, but I didn't believe it. I was like, no, you can't do that. And I have had so many things in my mind about what's possible with bodies. No, you can't do that. And I'm like, actually, I'm already doing it. What if I acknowledge it and ask for more of it? And also, how else can I use this? And I think we're way more miraculous with our bodies than we have allowed ourselves to know. And we haven't had somebody like a Gary who's looking through this weird ass lens, looking for miracles all the time and looking to acknowledge that. So, yeah, I think I went a little off topic, but I think we're far more capable than we give ourselves credit for.
Well, so basically, over the years, like if you look back 5 years and now, has it keep changing? Like, are you still stepping into more miracles with your body?
Well, here's the interesting part is it, yes, I am still stepping into more miracles. And I noticed there was a certain point at which I, it's like I started buying into things to make myself more normal. Like I'm
Mm.
already off the charts beyond like whack-a-doodle. I'll be with thousands of people, put up my hands, and people are like, something's happening, I'm changing. I'm like, I know, it's awesome, huh? And so to a certain extent, it's like I was like, okay, I'll be weird in this way, but not as weird in this way. And lately I'm like, I'm gonna be weird in all the ways. Dear body, I'm so sorry for being such an idiot. And let's go on the journey we can go on now. So and there are places where I've seen miraculous things. I mean, I, I would, so many things with my body, but also other people's bodies. And that's the other really important part for me is, this isn't about me. I'll use myself as an example, but to hopefully inspire you to find out what's possible for you. And one really quick story I want to tell about Laura Simmons, who works with us, who she was a kid and she was sick and there wasn't any medicine. So she's like, I'm going to heal myself with water. Water is healing. So she drank water and got better. And she's been doing it her whole life. Like every time I'm sick, I drink water. I'm like, that's fucking awesome. And it acknowledges the truth. Water should actually be healing for us. But
Mm.
she was willing to allow that weirdness in and didn't think about it. And to a certain extent, we seem to have more freedom to do that when we're kids. And part of what I'm trying to get people to again is the freedom we already had that we've been pretending we don't, that we must still have because we had it at one point. That is us. That's our true nature. So we must have it still.
Well, and one of my favorite parts of the book is the chapter where you talk about chaos is healing, not order, because we seem to
Yes.
just order our body correctly, it will heal or it will change. In this part where if we insert chaos, that's actually when healing comes. So could you chat a little bit about the chaos of bodies?
Oh man, that's what I was doing when I grew 4 inches and shrank 4 inches instantaneously. And that's what Laura was doing when she healed her body with water. She was allowing the chaos and the contribution it could be to heal her body. And order is the other side. I must take this many supplements this many times a day. I must work out this many minutes a day. Like I used to work out 6 days a week for at least 90 minutes. And yeah, my body would create an amazing result, and then after when I stopped working out so much, I thought I had to do that to work out. And now I'm like 15 minutes, 20 minutes. And my body's like, I don't need all that work. I'm far more efficient, but that's the chaos that our bodies are capable of. And the only way you can start to access it is by asking your body. Like, body, what movement would you like to do? Body, do you desire this? Do you desire to ingest this? Do you require this? But also what that does is there's a thing we don't get to talk about very often where it starts to heighten your spidey senses for all future awareness and information. So as you start to recognize your body has been whispering, and as you start to recognize and allow that to be a valid source of information, in fact, a far more valid source of information than all the judgment and all the structure and all the programs and all the drugs and all the blah, 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 blah. And by the way, if your body needs a drug or needs a surgery or something, and you're willing to listen to it, it will tell you. And when it needs it, do it. It's like I'm not trying to say like leave everything on the table, but do it all from the awareness of having a connection with your body that, by the way, takes a while to develop, okay? But do it all from awareness. And so what it as you sorry, my ADHD is strong today. As you do this of starting to listen to your body, what happens is when something else is presented, rather than thinking, oh, that's probably the solution to my problem, you have a sense of, does it land in this complex of me and my body? Does it land there? Is it ease? Does it contribute? And that's how you know what to choose, just not just now, but in the future.
Well, it also reminds me of this, like we could, if we choose to, live in 10-second increments. And it's like our bodies definitely live in 10-second increments. So what worked the moment before or what you desired the moment before may not be what you desire after. And yesterday, you and I had a conversation where you were looking at what you wanted to do that day, and you got to some,
Mm.
you thought of it for a little while, and then you were like done with that. You had already explored that. So how do we use this? Like, how do we use this spider sense that you talk about to find out what our bodies want to eat, how they want to move? Like, how do we train that way of
Well,
asking?
there's two things. There's the training and then there's the untraining.
Mm,
And the training occurs by asking questions about everything that concerns our body and start noticing first just play. Just and be willing to totally screw it up. Be willing to get all of it wrong. And that's the only way you're going to play because it's about play. And when you're a little kid and you played, you weren't worried about getting anything wrong. You're like, I'm going to try this. I'm going to do this. And you screw it up, but you didn't care. It was like, oh, that didn't work. I wonder how else I could do that. Same thing with our bodies. That didn't work. How else can I do it? And what we're doing is we're retuning ourselves to our own frequency of awareness and our body's frequency of awareness. And because to a certain extent, our bodies ability to whisper with us has been rather diminished by our unwillingness to receive it and our growing up in a world that doesn't believe in it. Okay. And so we're shaking all the stuff off of our body and we're simultaneously tuning our dial, our multiple dials to that frequency that allows us to perceive the tiniest blip, the
mm,
tiniest shift in the wavelength. And we do it by asking questions. Body, what would you like to eat, for example? Body, what would you like to wear? When you go shopping. And as you start this, if you start doing this, you might one day walk into your closet and go, who bought all these ugly fucking clothes? Jesus Christ, when did I become my grandmother? Okay, anyway, um, because what you'll recognize as you're vibing on that wavelength of your body will be able to communicate. And if you haven't noticed, when you wear something your body loves, people notice, people comment on it. Oh my God, is that a new dress? You're like, actually, it's 12 years old, but I've never worn it before because I never asked my body, you know. But you bought it in a moment of your body going, that. And then you get home and your mind goes, that's not my style. So it
Mm,
ends up going to the back of the closet. But, and we can also look for these clues. Where have I done something that was a bit unexpected from my side, but turned out really well for me and my body? Where it's like, okay, like where did I buy something that, a long time ago? And tap into the energetics of it. All of this is energetic, and energetic is the most pragmatic thing there is. When we allow ourselves to recognize that we have awareness, but it's not, it's more subtle and greater than cognitive. Our
mm,
cognitive is a part of it, can be part of it, but when we recognize we have this subtle and dynamically sort of like spacious, energetic awareness, and ask questions of your body until you start to get a sense. And even after you start to get a sense, because, I'm still working with this and getting more accurate, if you will, with it all the time. And also recognizing that my body knows things that my mind doesn't,
mm.
and give them that acknowledgement. And if you want a place to start, you can just put your hands on your body and go, body, thank you. I am sorry for being a person. I know you got other choices. I know we do. Let's explore those together, you and me, body. And touching your body, touching your own body has this, can have this amazing calming effect. The other thing that will occur on another note is, if you put your hands on your body and you're like, yuck, well, that's giving you information. Rather than assume a wrongness and a problem that you need to find the solution for, what information am I getting? Reorient your perspective from what problem is this and how do I solve it to what information are you giving me, body? And you'll start to be able to orient your life from that perspective also, because what you be with your body also shows up in your life. Every form of awareness you're willing to have with your body, you can also have in the rest of your life outside of your body.
Before this event call, whatever we're on, I was looking at this where our bodies also has the capacity to actually change things way beyond them. So that energetic, like bodies are energetic, the universe is energetic. And I remember the very first body whispering class where I don't know if it was your body only, but where the bodies interfered so that we
Yeah.
stopped having whole day classes. And that was such a, like where the body awareness kind of like vibrated way beyond the what
Yeah.
we think is our body. So could you talk about that and what that created for you?
Oh my God, it changed everything. And this was my body in conjunction with our bodies. And you couldn't deny it, especially given that it was a body whispering class. It was day 2 of class. And prior to that, we did morning, lunch break, afternoon in access classes. And yet for years, you do morning, yay, miracles, awesomeness. You do lunch break, okay. And by the end of lunch, you're like, I'm tired. And everybody in the friggin' class, because we changed so much in such a short amount of time. But logically, we weren't acknowledging it, especially me, because I always want to make sure that I'm giving people more than they pay for, honoring the fact that they chose to be there. And I thought that that somehow needed to occur in an amount of time that I was gifting, even though they were checked out. For years, people were just practically checked out trying to stay awake after lunch. We wouldn't get anywhere, right? So at the second day of this body whispering class years ago, we were at lunch, and my villa that I was staying at in Puerto Vallarta is 5 minutes away from, or 3 minutes away from the hotel. Well, I go home for lunch, and while I'm there, I get a call. Dain, we need to delay starting class. There's been a truck crash. I'm like, where? Between your villa and the hotel. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Okay, what was it? It was a corn truck. I'm like, okay, so a corn truck crashed. Okay, all right, fine. And I'm like, okay, we'll just do class late, right? And in upon further information, I'm like, okay, so what's our status? They're like, well, here's the other thing. The truck apparently crashed on the freeway, or not on the freeway, on the road, which is actually above the hotel, where if there's a problem, the truck could roll down and kill everyone. So we're not actually going to be able to go back to class because of safety reasons. I was like, are you fucking kidding me? This is awesome. And so then I'm like, hey, you know what? I'll do it on Zoom. Why? Because I wanted to give people more because I knew that, no, I had many conclusions that I didn't know I had and my body showed me. So what happened was, I think I was with you. Was I with you at the time? I'm not sure if I was with,
Yes.
I would think you were there, but I'm not sure. But I was talking to who I was with. I'm like, okay, everybody, let's get on Zoom. And whoever it was looked at me and went, do people's bodies really want that? I was like, oh my God, no, everybody wants a day off. Everybody's body is like, please don't make me go back to class. I know it's consciousness, but geez, I thought it was supposed to be fun. You know? And after that, I never did an afternoon of class again unless it's a body class or foundation because of the necessity required in that. But other than that, I was like, okay, body, you showed me how fast we actually have become and how much change we create that we never could have created when I started. And you showed me that it is more honoring of all of us to do it this way, get the change, be intense, and get the fuck out and enjoy your life.
Well, that leads me to maybe my last question. We'll see. But the one of the times where, here's our body, they have capacity to literally change the surroundings to give us more awareness. And yet, if we're in pain, we get
Mm.
deaf. We not deaf, but deaf. We can't hear, like that's when the blah blah turns up, like June. So what is required for us to actually, I guess, choose to hear our bodies when we think we're in pain? Like, what is going on there?
Oh, so many possibilities. But one thing that comes up when you ask that is a great question I got from Gary, the founder of Access, which was a question we actually got to because of pain his body was in, which is, what are you sourcing with this pain?
Ah, mm,
Because what the world does is pain is bad, pain is wrong. It means I'm doing something wrong, I'm being something wrong, I did something wrong, I did something bad. So, what did I do that was bad and wrong? And what do I need to do to not be bad and wrong in the future? And then my pain will go away. Well, what if you're actually sourcing something with it? And what that question does is get you look from the perspective of not, this is a wrongness, show me how this is wrong so I can do something less wrong. It's, okay, body, what are you showing me? Because our bodies do not create pain without a reason.
mm,
They are conscious organisms despite our best efforts to make them not so. They're phenomenal creatures. On a bit of a side note that I don't know if it illustrates it or not, but I was working with a lady who was in a car crash, could barely move her neck. Her car crash was like 6 months ago. She'd been to chiropractor, she'd been to friggin' everybody, and she was in so much pain. And so she walked me through. I'm like, okay, so let's walk through energetically. I'm going to walk you through the timeline of your life here. Before the car crash, okay, good. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, it's happening. Oh. And as I walked her through that, so she had all this stuff going on. And for me, I have this weird way of perceiving things as like energetic structure, but you can't see it. You can just sense it. And I'm like, oh, there's a structure. And I asked her, I said, is this yours? And she looked at me. She goes, what do you mean? I'm like, it just, all this, is it yours? She went, no. And I was like, oh, everything you did to buy it is yours. Pack and potto that shit. And it was very interesting because she got out of, I don't know, 70% of the pain in one session. Then over the next few weeks, 98% of it was gone.
Mm.
And what that was this whole energetic structure, the way of your body being in an accident and the result of it was something she picked up from one of her relatives that was in an accident decades before. But what happened was she and her body were basically like, oh, like it was so traumatizing for the whole family when this occurred. She tapped in energetically to exactly what occurred for her body and for the ladies. Am I making sense?
Yeah.
This one tapped into the past and what occurred for the lady's body, the aunt or relative. And so she had this structure. Oh, this is what occurs in a really bad accident. So what she did was what occurs in a really bad accident that she had bought from somebody else, which I sound crazy. If you believe that, medical science is all there is, I sound like a nut job right now. But we got her out of pain. So I'm willing to be a nut job. That's fine. And it was amazing to me the capacity she and her body together had to function in a situation from the way somebody else would. And I went, okay, so if you never bought that, is there a different way it would have shown up? And she didn't really understand it, and neither did I. But she went, apparently. And I went, okay, cool. So can we just let this go? Puck and Pod, when you bought it, is yours. Return it to sender with consciousness attached. And also, everything you were doing to try to heal, how many people were you trying to heal? She went, oh my God, everybody in my car and everybody in the other car and everybody in the cars around. I was aware of all of it simultaneously, energetically. And she got that awareness in one moment. And all of a sudden, her body started relaxing. It's amazing.
And it's like by having a communication with her body, you're lifting off all the structures that she's functioning, like she's basically telling her body to function
Yeah.
like, and
Yeah.
now she
Isn't
can
that
function
amazing?
so
Like
amazing.
telling her body, making her body function this way. Like, wow.
You
That's
and your body, yeah,
wow.
it works all kinds of ways
Wow.
because it's you and me body. So we also influence our bodies so much by our point of view.
So much. And the idea is I finally got my shades working. I like that background much better. My body does too. So the idea is now notice also, any of you watching, as you got access to that energy, did it lighten up for you also? Isn't that amazing? That is, that's us in our bodies. We're
Yeah.
nurtured by things energetically. And we live in a world that tells us that doesn't exist, but it's everything about everything,
Mm.
which is so interesting. And so that idea that we can take a structure that's not ours and make our body function from it. It's like I'm trying to think of a good example. I can't think of one, but it's like it, it's just it's mind blowing to me because this is a huge amount of what I see with how people function with their bodies that they think is theirs. Because anytime you take on a structure that's not yours, it will be more intense than if you're just being you.
Well, and it's interesting because this weekend I was facilitating an access body class in Germany. And one of the things this class showed me was we're so serious. Our like the personalities that we bought, we're so serious. We go so into the problems and the problem has to be solved. But in a body class, the bodies take the lead and they had so much fun. So the it dissipated the structure of this, what do you call it? The significance disappeared and things could just change. So
Well,
like
in
that,
a body class, what did you say?
the bodies take the lead.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Go ahead.
Well, I just wanted to see if you could talk a little bit about that joy. The bodies actually enjoy joy. And
Yeah, exactly. Bodies enjoy joy. What the fuck? And we enjoy controlling everything because if we're too joyful, something might get out of control and things will turn out wrong. No, cutie pie dum dum. That's not the way it works. Our bodies enjoy joy. They enjoy your joy. They
Mm.
thrive on your joy. They also thrive on your sexualness. Sexualness is healing, caring, nurturing, joyful, generative, expansive, creative, and orgasmic energy. And notice I didn't say copulation in there. Okay. That they can thrive on if it's joyful anyway. But like, if you look out there, that right there is an embodiment of sexualness.
Yeah.
It's like and because the word sex, starts off that concept of sexualness, people feel free to judge and separate from it. And it's part of the reason we have that word, because that word matches the energy: healing, caring, nurturing, joyful, generative, expansive, creative, and orgasmic. Our bodies love to be orgasmic, and people think orgasmic is orgasm. No, hello. There's a little bird that's like, hi, tell him, tell him, tell him. Okay.
Well, and even what you're saying is our bodies are of the earth. They're like
Yep.
they are that I see outside your window moving and glowing and
Totally.
all
And
of that.
we're nurtured by the acknowledgement of that and the receiving of that. And rather than trying to assume that our bodies are like just something to contain our minds to go through the world like robots, uh-uh. These creatures have totally different points of view and awarenesses of what's possible.
Yeah. Yeah, all that. I'm just tapping into it. It was so amazing when you pulled your curtains up and the earth came in and like how like my body, your body, but also all the bodies watching, like that was such a contribution to bodies. So
Right? Wait,
okay.
I
Yes.
just have to show you this. This has nothing to do with anything. But I got this idea because I've been doing dragons, and everybody loves baby dragons, and I'm like, I'm gonna make a big baby dragon rather than a little baby dragon. I'm like, I'm gonna make anyway. This is nurturing. It's my friend. Okay,
And
that's it.
for a big dragon, that is a little dragon. If the dragon
Exactly.
is really big.
That was just a total random side note, as I like to do.
That was a beautiful way to end. So thank you so much for coming on and chatting. And you know, what else is possible with our bodies?
Truly, such my pleasure. And if we could realize that we've been taught that they are somehow mysterious, as though their information and secrets are inaccessible. No, they're not. People want you to believe that so that they can be a source for you, so
Mm,
that you will follow them. Don't follow anybody but you and your body. Anyone, lots of people, lots of things, supplements, whatever, programs, blah, blah, can all be a contribution when it's something your body is actually asking for. Please do yourself the favor of opening the door for that communion, that nurturing relationship with your body to begin. And if you do, let us know how it goes in the next few months, because you're going to notice things being totally different.
mm. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you. Thank you all. Bye bye.
Bye. I think I'll be back, right?
You will be. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dain. Thank you so much, Katarina. So we're going to give Katarina a little break for 5 minutes, and I am going to read some of this amazing book just whilst we get everything ready for the next conversation. We have Heather Nichols coming up. So thank you. I just want to say thank you again to Dain and Katarina. Okay, so we're gonna go to chapter 3 of this book, and I'm going to start reading it from the beginning. So take a moment to think about how your relationship with your body began way back in your early childhood. Specifically, recall how meal times were for you growing up. Who decided when you ate? Who decided what you ate? Who decided how much you ate? Did your parents let you bypass your vegetables and head straight for dessert? What happened if you were full, but you hadn't eaten anything? What happened if you were hungry outside meal times? Is food used as reward for being good, or a pacifier when you were being too much? Was carrying your plate taken as a mark of respect to your parents, while also being a sign of compassion to children around the world less fortunate than you? If you nodded, sorry, why we stopped listening to our bodies? Okay, reconstructions and rules around food are commonplace in most families. Usually it's all very well-meaning, but it's rare that someone stops to think about the message it sends to kids, which is pretty much this. Listen to how other people think you should nourish your body rather than trust that your body knows intuitively what nourishment it requires. Interestingly, without demands and expectations placed on them, children behave very differently around food. You'll see that they'll graze. They'll eat a little and then they'll go and play. Then they'll come back, then they'll eat some more, and then they'll go and play, and so on. The only thing that limits kids from their natural ebb and flow is the adult's rigid point of view that they have to do meal times and eating in certain ways. What if eating more than you need, or eating what your body has no interest in consuming, are just two of the ways you may have been practicing out of listening to what your body is trying to tell you? What if there are dozens more, or maybe more, like 1,000 more? Okay, so who are you choosing for? Consider this. When you get dressed in the morning, and when you're there in front of your closet, selecting your outfit for the day, who are you choosing for? Are you choosing for you, or are you choosing for others in mind? Do you factor in what other people are thinking, or what you're wearing when you wake, or when you make your choice? Perhaps the people at work, or your partner, or your mum. And then do you get all caught up with what you think you should wear and disregard what you would like to wear? More specifically, do you disregard what your body would like to wear? Because yes, your body absolutely has a point of view about the clothes you put on it. We just never thought of asking. Why is that? Well, in exactly the same way that we grew up receiving messages about what food we should consume, we were also inundated with opinions and points of view about what clothes were acceptable and appropriate for us to wear. Think about it. Did you ever get a disapproving look from your parents for an outfit you chose as a teenager? And what about now? If you'd like a lot of the people I know and work, sorry, I got distracted by a message, so I'm going to go back. Okay, so if you'd like a lot of people I know and work with changes, sorry, chances are you'll still get those side eyes and thinning, veiled criticisms at family get-togethers about your appearance. Oh, that's an interesting look, honey. Is that dress actually your size? How would you describe that color? Other people's unsolicited opinions are fired at us directly or indirectly, at every moment of the day. Think about the media. Those magazines and online articles are awash with advice about what to wear and what not to wear. What's hot this season, what's not. After any high-profile award ceremony, you'll find a dissection of outfits worn on the red carpet. Some will be celebrated, others mocked. So why am I talking about all of this? Well, think about all of those judgments and points of view just about the garment we put on our bodies. Okay, I think, oh no, I'm just going to read a little bit more to the end of the section. Okay, we soaked it all up and never once stopped to ask what our bodies require. Your body's awareness doesn't end at matters relating to food and clothing. It has awareness about activities it likes to participate in, who it likes to be around, and who it desires to get intimate with. Whenever we keep the volume turned up on the judgment, points of view, and conclusions of others, and turn down on our bodies, we keep ourselves separate from its incredible and gentle awareness about everything. So what does your body have to do to get your attention? Okay, folks, so I think we're about ready for the next section. We've got Katarina back. and Heather Nichols. Okay, and I'm going to take myself off.
Okay. Welcome, Heather.
Hi.
Look at
How are you?
you. It looks much warmer where you are.
I'm in Bahrain, so yes, it is very warm.
It's very true, but it also explains that it's all dark behind you if you're in Bahrain. So
Yeah.
let's tap in, like that's a different, just from when we went with Dain, where we could perceive like all the greenery, like morning, earth morning bodies behind him. And now we have like sleeping bodies behind you and darkness.
And
So
desert.
in desert, in
Yeah,
desert. Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. So how how do you whisper with your body?
Well, I loved the conversation you and Dane were having. That was really awesome. And there were so many things I was like, oh yeah, that. For me, it's been something that I've been really developing for a long time. For me, actually, movement has been a huge part of my communication with my body. And because I started dancing when I was 2. My mom had to like lie about my age to get me into dance class. And I just have always loved to move. And my body gives me enormous amounts of information when it's moving. So there's so many ways that I could answer that, but that's been a really big resource for me.
Well, let's actually talk about the moving. It was one of the things I wanted to explore with you. So our body is a sensory organism, like Dane talked about, and a lot of the information we get from our bodies is from our senses. And our senses also are like balance and where our bodies are in space and how we touch, our body to other things like the floor when we dance. So could you talk a little bit on how have you learned to receive information from your body as you're moving and how it looks like? I think that you take it for granted, but a lot of other people may never even have thought about it or started to explore that.
Yeah. Well, one of the things I love about movement is it's so sensual in that it does like inspire a lot of different types of sensation, and because I was a body-centered psychotherapist and a dance therapist for a long time before I did Access. And one of the things we used to play with was this idea that sensation is like part of the language of the body, so it's one of the ways that the body can communicate with us, and of course not the only way, but there's a really powerful way that our body gives us information through sensation. And you and Dane talked about that, like with pain. I've really learned from the tools of Access to see pain as like my body's indication that something greater is possible, and it's not always like, oh, I'm in pain, something greater is possible. It's sometimes it takes a moment to get there. But it has been this real gift of just, starting to shift and just always be curious about what are the sensations in my body, and like, what awareness can I receive from that? Because it's energetic, and awareness is energetic, and our bodies are energetic, and sensation is energetic. And when we get to play in that arena, it's like so delicious. Yeah, I don't know if I answered your question.
Well, you did, and I want I want to have an example. So could you talk about something where your body has surprised you with the awareness that or the way it was whispering or what it was saying, something that you didn't expect that didn't fit with that structure that we were talking about, in this live?
The way that my body has surprised me, it kind of does that a lot. One of the things, I don't know if there's like a specific time that's coming to mind right now, but one of the things that a lot shows up for me a lot is when I talk to my business, because you can talk to, you know, lots of things beyond your body, and my business will actually ask me to go out, like go for a walk, you know, and I have this hiking trail behind my house that I go up a lot, and I call it my office, this one little section of the woods, because I get a lot of downloads when I'm hiking in the woods about stuff I can do with my business, or running or dancing or whatever it may be. But it's like, I'll just get all kinds of ideas, and creative, you know, juice just starts flowing when my body starts moving. I think just, you know, there's just so much energy moving then. It's like, oh, you know, you're not stationary and stagnant.
Well, I love that example, actually. You know how we were talking about the bodies are energetic, and by being willing to actually be energetic, they're then connected to everything, like our business, the universe, the world, other people. And
Yeah.
when you were saying the movement, it's also like wherever the energy gets stuck, when you move, you actually create this energetic interrupt that the body then like allows other energies to flow.
Yeah.
So are when you're working with other people and you're like showing them how to work with their bodies, what are some of the like your favorite ways of getting people to communicate more with their bodies?
Well, I love it that you said that. Think about having an interrupt with your body, like with energies that are stuck, because, you know, we have this tool in Access about instilling chaos.
Yeah.
And, you know, to me, movement is one of the ways we instill chaos in our bodies, and especially doing new things or different things or challenging ourselves or whatever, having variety, you know. And so any way that you can instill chaos in your body, I would say really increase your connection to it and how you talk, like how you communicate with it. So movement can be one of those things, like the Access body processes. You were talking about weird body class. That's an incredible way to instill chaos in the body. Like just, you know, any sort of change, like doing something in a really different way with your body, you know, trying something new. I mean, I took up ice skating when I was 49 during COVID, and it was so random. That was actually a surprising moment with my body. My body was like, I want to ice skate. And I was like, what? Like, it was so out of the blue and so random and so unexpected. And it wasn't something I used to do as a kid. And it was so clear that 3 days later, I was on the ice and I was like, all right, like it was just so much fun. And so like when we make new choices and different choices with our bodies, that's also a way to instill chaos. And then it's like, because our bodies thrive on chaos. You know, we don't really think they do. Like that seems kind of counter to what we think, because there's so much order in this world around bodies. But chaos is way more of what so many bodies thrive on. And if we like just really mix up our choices with what we're doing, you know, that is like, it just creates all this new sensations and new energies and new communication.
Well, it's also even like our bodies and our brains love learning new things. There's new neurons firing. There's all kinds of things going on that makes us come alive. So when you went on the ice, what was that like? Like what happened in your body as like, how did it communicate to you as you were ice skating?
Well, it was funny. It was such a random, absolutely out of the blue thing. And I was like, really? And then I was like, well, let me watch some ice skating videos. And so I put some YouTube videos on I have like a treadmill desk. And so I was like running, watching ice skating, and my body was just like getting so excited. It was like, I want to do that, you know? I was like, this is just so out of the blue. And so I actually was just like, well, let me find a rink and rent some skates and just see what it's like. Maybe I'll never go back, you know. Choice creates awareness, you know. So I went, and it was so exhilarating. I had no idea what I was doing. but it was just so exhilarating. And I was watching all the figure skaters and my body was like, that, I want to do that. And I think it's as simple as our bodies going like, yeah, you know, they just get like excited. They get lit up. They're like, they lean in, you know? I mean, that's one of the easiest ways to just like, you know, get a sense of what our bodies are asking for, you know, is when they just kind of go.
Yeah, you're really brilliant at this. You're one of my favorite people to ask, for example, for good restaurants, because you always different choices and it's always delicious when I go there. And not only the food, but the whole experience is delicious. So how do you find like places to eat? Like how do you find out what your body would like? We know about the ice skating, so we know movement, but how do you find out what your body would like to eat and where?
God, these are cool questions because I really haven't looked at this and with this energy before. So, I mean, one of the things that, well, with restaurants, I am kind of a geek and I do a lot of research and I Google, you know, like best restaurant in whatever, you know, and then I start looking at the menus and I'm just like, I just include my body, like my body, I'm always with my body. Like I'm always present with it, you know? So it's just included in everything that I do. It never gets this, you know, I never like cut myself off from it. And I don't really know how to talk about how that, I think for me, it's like exploring a depth of sensation and movement and also the body processes and access and all the body classes is like, I mean, I always say you can go to a 3-day body class and sleep for 3 days and you'll wake up with greater communion with your body. You know, it doesn't like, you don't have to do anything. You just play with the body processes and they change your whole universe.
It's not
But
cognitive. It's
not at all, not at all. So yeah, I look at menus and then I'm like, body, is there anything here that looks yummy to you? You know, and my body's like, yeah, you know, or it might look like an amazing menu, but my body, there's nothing there that it excites my body, you know. So then I'm like, no, that's not for me, you know.
But you know what? What if because you said something that keeps pinging me now. You said lean in, and
Yeah.
when you talked about the ice skating. So explore that a little bit. Like, what is it like when your body leans in to something? What is that? Like, what happens?
Well, there's a real lightness to it and a real sense of, even if it's something that, you know, seems like it wouldn't be fun, you know, like I've been doing a lot of intermittent fasting lately. And it was one of those things my body really leaned into and was like, yeah, you know, and actually really enjoy it. Like my body really enjoys being slightly hungry and like it's been really fun to play with, you know. So it doesn't always mean that it's going to be something that is like that you would think of when you think of like pleasurable, you know. So you got to get out of your mind with it. um and I think I mean one of the first ways I learned to get out of my mind, especially regarding my body, was to really pay attention to the sensations and to just sit and listen and then kind of get a sense of like, well, what is this that my body is saying, you know? And I mean, we have a very simple tool in Access that I use all the time where you can just stand and, you know, if you're like, you know, do I want to drink this water? Like, not do I, but like, body, would you like this water? You know, and then just see if it leans forward or back. Like that is so simple. And you can do it with food, you can do it with, but you don't even have to hold the thing. You can be like, do you want to go to, you know, the Middle East? You know, my body was like, yes, you know, okay, all right. It doesn't have to make sense. And then, and then, and then it's about listening, you know, and trusting and responding, you know, like gifting our bodies what they're asking for. When we do, oh my gosh, Like our whole lives become so much greater.
Well, and how, if you take that then and you look at body whispering with other bodies, what is that like? Like how, how give listening, kind of going where the body is showing you, but how's that been for you with other bodies, like all kinds of other bodies, not just lovers, but in general? Like how do you whisper? How do you whisper with other bodies?
Yeah, for me it's has so much to do with my connection with my own body. I have a little bit of a theory, I guess, I don't know, that when we are really with our own bodies, we really can be with other bodies, and maybe that's more than a theory. I don't know. It's just that's been my experience.
Knowing. Yeah.
Yeah. And and so yeah, so it's like
Well,
a lot of yeah.
but maybe you could use it, like, how has that changed for you over the years? Like, what is it like? So now you're more with your body, I'm guessing, since like it's moving that way. So what was it like? Like, how has it changed over the years for you being with other bodies?
I think the biggest thing is trusting, like really trusting that my body and I know.
Mm,
Um, and like I love the story that Dain tells about when he first started doing his ESB sessions and the very first one was with Gary Douglas, the founder of Access. And Gary said those first levels of network or of network chiropractic, they don't work on me. So you have to do like whatever it was, the next level. And Dain was like, I don't even know how to do that, And Gary basically said, you'll know.
yeah.
And so Dain just like, he just dove in and was like, okay, well, I guess I'll know. Let's see, And he did, and he really changed Gary's life in that session. And he's just continued to do that ever since. And of course, had all kinds of moments and, as we all do. But that's been such a gift for me to hear about, Dain's process and Gary's process and be like, okay, so what if I just really trusted that I know and that my body knows?
Mm,
And I kind of just did that from the beginning. Like I remember the very first bars class that I facilitated, I was like, I can either like really head trip here, or I can just pretend like whatever's coming up in my awareness is my knowing, and it worked out, I was like, well, that was cool, so there's just been this like over time, just being like, I see like when I really let myself turn my mind off and let my body give me the information and speak and move with other bodies, however that may be, it always creates something greater, So I think we just have to kind of like jump off the cliff, have some courage and be like, let me try it out, not thinking and just trusting that I know and following that. And then I think for most people, like for so many people, when you do, it's like you get so much beautiful awareness and change and contribution from it. And it's just this whole universe. It's so available to us, we just have to have the courage to be like, okay, here we go.
trust and leap. That's like,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. And bodies are so, bodies, they communicate so much with each other. Like we have such a power when it comes to touch, the power of touch between
Mm.
body, like the bodies of the humanoids, the seekers of the world, it's very powerful. We don't have to talk, we don't have to think, we don't have to say anything, they just do a lot of magic,
They whisper to each other through touch in all kinds of different ways, not even physical touch, but energetic touch as well. So yeah, the whole
Yeah.
like a whole area to explore. Yeah. Thank
And you have that beautiful class, The Art of Touch.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful, beautiful exploration that you gift
And
the
very,
world.
like you say, very dynamic and powerful once you start to explore that. So And that's
Yeah.
a really cool place to end on, like bring in, lean in and bring in touch, like use your other senses to explore the whispering. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Take care. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, thanks. I totally forgot to unmute. So thanks for reminding me to unmute, my beautiful hosts. It's funny being on the other end of this. So we're going to read another piece from the Body Whispering book. And if you're curious about it, you just have to go to bodywhispererbook.com and you can find the book there. So again, in chapter 2, starting where we left off, what happens when we don't listen to our bodies? When you're separate from your body and out of practice with the energetic language it uses, it simply has to find another way to tell you what it needs to tell you. This is why the body creates stiffness, pain, and disease, all as a way of getting our attention, all as a way to communicate whatever awareness we're not listening to. Now, we're going to explore this a lot more as we go through the book, but just take a second to think about this. There's almost a sadness to it. Our bodies are so giving. Just think about what they do for us each and every day. They take us from A to B to Z. They digest food, fight bugs, circulate blood and oxygen. They're pretty much running the whole physical show. And here we are, so oblivious that it's got to the stage where pain and stiffness are the only ways they can reach out to us. The amazing and world-shifting news is that you can develop a relationship with your body today, starting right now, if you choose. The relationship can be nurtured and built upon with ease, and the whole process will contribute to your life, your living, and your business and practice. Ready to unlock some doors right now? Shall we use the clearing statement? If you guys have never heard of the clearing statement, this isn't in the book. This is just an ad lib. You can go to theclearingstatement.com and there's a video all about it where you can learn more about that. So, shall we use the clearing statement? It really is the quickest way I've ever found to change anything and everything. This one is focused on destroying and uncreating all those right and wrong points of view about what your body needs or desires. Here it is. Read it and notice the energy it conjures. Everything you've done to impose there's a right or wrong point of view about eating, about supplementation, about clothes, about all the other things that your body desires or doesn't. Whether it's an amount of sleep you've decided your body needs to have, whether it's a particular food it needs to eat, will you destroy and uncreate it all now, please? Right and wrong, good and bad, POD and POC, all 100, shorts, boys, POVADs, bases, creations, and beyonds. That's the clearing statement. I said the updated one, even though the older one is still in the book. So how was that? You might want to run it a couple of times and just notice what happens to the energy that comes up. Notice how it expands as if more space appears around it. That's you clearing your limiting points of view. Go you! We can talk for hours and we will move forward, or we can use the clearing statement and move mountains. Wondering whether I should dive into this next piece or if we should leave it at that and move on to our guests. Probably move on to the guests. Yeah, great. Thanks everybody for joining us. And once again, you can go to bodywhispererbook.com to find that book. Next up is Katarina and Shannon O'Hara.
Shannon, welcome to Body Whispering Exploration. So, how do you body whisper?
Yeah, this is an interesting one. I get to go right after the segment about what happens when you don't listen to your body, because I would say that I have really specialized in not listening to my body. Um, what happens when I'm body whisper?
Or how do you body whisper when you do it then?
Yeah, I mean, it's so interesting how I love that question, because what it's making me look at right now is a lot of stuff that I haven't actually not claimed and owned that's my knowing that I couldn't necessarily explain, but it's something that I really can know for me and only me and my body. And there's in the question, when you ask the question, I'm like, oh yeah, like I do have all this information that is the body whispering to me. And sometimes she's louder than whispering.
Mm.
And it's so easy for me to disregard or ignore that, but it's this free frequency that's constantly there. Um, I will say that I'll be 46 years old this year, and my ability to not just, I would say I've actually been really good at listening to my body for a while, but honoring what it's saying, that's been another thing. That's a whole other exercise and choice that I'm getting better at. So it's that thing of knowing what my body's saying, but actually caring about what it's saying to me and taking action based on that. Because we have to choose. It's so easy to hear the body. Well, for me, it's easy to hear the body, and then it's so easy to ignore it, what it's saying.
Yeah, and one of the things that I've been looking at is like I'll hear my body, I'll receive the awareness, and then I interpret it, define it, or filter it through what I
Wow.
already
Right,
decided
right.
that body were saying to me. So
Hmm.
how do you, or how are you then learning to kind of, yeah, choosing based on what you're actually hearing from your
Yeah.
body?
I would say that I go through waves and phases of actually really learning new things from my body. When we're little, we take for granted it's a known thing. It's a given that you're constantly learning how to be in a body, how to learn how to be actually functioning in a body. And then we get to a certain age where a lot of our neurological processes are programmed. We basically can walk and talk and chew gum without thinking about it very much. So when we get later on in life, uh, what can our body continue to teach us? And what if we all went to classes like every year, like continuing education titled "What Can Your Body Teach You This Year?"
I love that. Yeah. It's so true what you were saying when we're little, because we don't assume we know everything. So we're basically, our point of view is, I'm going to learn something new about life, about living in school with my body. And then it's like we go into this automatic setting. Because one of the things that my body really seemed to get turned on by is learning new things. And even like new movements or new, and it's like new neurons is firing, something is exciting, it's something new. And what if that is even like to the very core, the deepest part of our body? So what new could my body learn this year?
Well,
And being,
your question's slightly different than mine. Mine is what can I learn from my body this year?
ah,
Or this week or today? Uh,
yeah,
my body has led me to some stuff that I didn't my body started experiencing like a lot of chronic pain in particular ways that I was not able to change as easily as I was able to years ago. And I kept on seeing these people doing these specific exercises, like on Instagram and YouTube. And I would like see it and I'd be like, what's that? And I realized it was my body being like, pay attention to that. Do you see that? And so eventually I was able to find, um, movement that I heard you talking to Heather about movement that actually has allowed me to address the pain that my body was expressing, which is my body talking, right? That's information that the body gives. I was able to find this way of moving that very smart people developed that has completely transformed how my body feels and experiences itself. Um, So my body had taught me that was possible. It wasn't like I knew. My body was like, I want to do something different. Now, could you please listen? And can we please go over here and listen to this person?
Well, so this is such a good example too, because we're flooded with things on Instagram and of
Mhm.
different suggestions, what we should be doing, like movements, and what we should be putting on our face, and what we should, eat to be whatever, we should be, smaller, bigger, thinner, longer. So how does one
Right.
follow the whispers to go for the thing that your body's asking for, and not what your judgments or your presumption is actually leading you to in that overflow of
Right.
suggestion?
Well, that's why I consider myself one of the luckiest people on earth, because I was taught first and foremost at a very young age to listen to my body. I think my dad probably asked me like 8 trillion times, like, well, what is your body saying?
Mm.
So that really became the first reference point that I have. So that doesn't always mean I do put my body first, but I have been able to fall back onto that in a way that's created so much more peace and ease, because there is so much information out there, and it's so easy to think that somebody else knows better than you, but
Yeah.
your body is completely unique. Literally, our bodies are so different. I mean, I was just listening to a guy yesterday, or not yesterday, but a couple days ago, talking about food, and he had so many points of view, and he was just broadcasting them out as though it was fact. And I was like, this is so dangerous. People like it's just people. So what I mean by dangerous is he wasn't promoting listen to your body. He was promoting do what I do with my body.
Mm. Mm.
And that's the prevalent point of view in the world. So what would it take for listening to your individual body to be the first go-to
Mm.
base before any other choice was made about the body? This means that doctors don't get the say. It doesn't means that YouTubers don't get the say. It doesn't mean your parents don't get the say. Your body gets to say first. First. And if you develop the ability to ask your body and develop the ability to understand its communication, it solves so much of the potential pain that could
Mm.
ensue from not listening to it.
Well, and I love also how, because it's this being in the question and actually listen, not thinking that somebody else, an authority, has the answer. And somehow with our bodies, I at least have been taught that somebody else knows more about my body than I do. And it's taken me many years to start trusting that me and my body actually have a sense of what works for us. So what would you say would be a good way to start exploring that we know?
I would say you have to get more willing to acknowledge when something's heavy right when it gets heavy. Because energy doesn't lie and it's very quick. It'll give you the signal like immediately. Sometimes even before the conversation or before you intercept with the information, the energy will be available. And then if you're not listening to the energy, if you're listening to something else, like a point of view or a presumption or a judgment, you'll miss the energy. So really, for me, it's all about listening to the energy. It's so simple. It's so easy because energy never lies, but we do. So
Yeah, we do. Well, so then let's bring it back. So one of the things that I keep getting questions about when it comes to body whispering and talking to your body is pain. And somehow pain people seem to consider too heavy. So it's like it's like,
Interesting. Oh, cool. Yeah, yeah. In my experience, like, what, how many different flavors of pain? And like, what's the good pain that's actually, because there is a pain response when particular things are transforming. This is like that experience we have when if you sit cross-legged for too long, and then you stand up, and then you get the prickles in your legs and your feet because the blood flow is happening. Is that bad pain?
right.
Should you
No.
avoid ever standing up again?
So that's information, obviously, what's going on.
So
Yeah.
we glump a lot of stuff under the banner of pain incorrectly. So you have to know the difference of what is this? Is this intense sensation beneficial, or is this intense sensation telling me I'm going the wrong direction? And only
Mm.
you know.
Mm.
But
And so
that
how do
the willingness to go through intense sensations that are beneficial is not something that we're particularly good at. We live in a very comfortable life and world in this day and age. It's for me, I'm always on a journey of, I love intensity and I'm always on a journey of change. So I am okay with pain because sometimes changing fucking hurts, but I always feel better in the long run.
So that's also a perspective shift. It's like how moving away from the immediate uncomfort to be willing to actually go through that to get to greater. And our bodies have a different perspective as well. I mean, they've grown from baby stage to what we are now. So this sensorial, you're one of the people that I've learned a lot about looking at the body as a sensorial organism that we experience life here on earth with. So how would you say that your senses talk to you? How do they,
Oh,
how do you
wow. Oh,
your
that
sense?
is such a good question. I, oh my God. Because you can have senses. There's an infinite spectrum of things that you can sense, right? There's the sense of the breeze. There's the sense of a tornado. There's the sense of the mass amount of unconsciousness and anti-consciousness and body hatred that people function from. There's the sensation of the sun on your face or the being cuddled by someone who like really, really loves you. Like the senses are from A to Z and all over the place. There's so much. And if you didn't resist any sensation, pleasure or pain, because a lot of people also resist the sensations of pleasure big time, because pleasure is uncontrollable, it's naughty, I don't know, all that funny stuff that comes up around pleasure. It's like, I guess like how much do you want to experience? How much living
Yeah.
are you choosing?
Mm. Yeah, I often talk about like how alive are you willing to be? Like how alive are you willing to be? And that often comes through your senses. But so when you look back, like how have you because as long as I've known you, what how you dress and what you eat and how you move always changes. Like you always change. So how do you you do?
Thank you. I feel so acknowledged.
But so how do you continuously find out what is pleasurable for me now? What would I like to eat? Like, how do you have that communication? Is it very
Yeah.
pragmatic for
It's
you?
really interesting the way you're putting it too, because I'm a very not mental person. I'll just go through a natural change without thinking about it at all.
Yeah,
It's funny that you mentioned that the way that I dress is always changing because I was literally just going through my closet this morning and I was like, wow, I have all these clothes that are really, really high quality, beautiful, expensive clothes. I'm completely not interested. I'm like, "Oh, come on, can't I please want to wear these clothes?" But my body's like, no, I want something different. I'm like, well, what's this different thing you want?
right. So it's such a cool thing with the clothes because I find that when we change, like even through a call like this, if I would really like to change clothes because there's new energies going on and there's other things happening. So what is it with is it how our bodies would like to show up in the world? Is it like the expression of our energy? What would you say?
Is
It's about
what that? What's the
how we want it, like when we want to change clothes or when we change a movement, like what is going on with that? Is it your body's way of expressing itself, or is it an energetic?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't really care either. I'll just do it.
So what are you gonna do?
Well, that's the thing. I have to discover what this This is such a funny conversation because I was just thinking about this today about my clothes, and I'm like, do I need like a whole new wardrobe? And my body's like, no, you just need 12 new things. And I'm like, yeah, but what? And I'm like, show me what you want. And now I'll just have to let it lead me to that instead of resisting, like, oh my God, it's gonna be so expensive and it's so wasteful, all these beautiful clothes that like you don't want to wear. I mean, my body, like what if I even put on a t-shirt that it doesn't like, I'll have like excruciating back pain. And then I'll just change my t-shirt to a different t-shirt and all the back pain goes away.
Well, I think that maybe why it's coming up is because you actually have, I know, yeah, I don't know how to explain that, but you have a very clear, you do follow that energy. You do take that t-shirt off and you put another one on and then it's comfortable. So if somebody is starting to play with this and they're starting to start just to listen to their body about, like whispering with their body about what to wear, what would you suggest they start with? Like how do they know?
Well, I learned a sign that when I put on something that my body really likes, it starts dancing. So you have to start learning and inventorying your body's signs that it's happy and likes something. Or sometimes if you eat something, like my body will hum or sort of like, it'll kind of move, which my body's saying like, yes. Um, and if I put on something clothing wise and food wise, if I eat something that immediately that there's a sense of like, "Ugh," like that's a no. My body's like, please don't do this.
Mm, mm,
I shop for energy, not for image. I
mm.
eat for energy. I'm not really sure what all the other reasons why people eat, but it's so I shop for energy. I shop for energy, not for image, for sure. Which sometimes I look so weird, and I mean, sometimes I'm like, wow, body, can we like my body, the stuff that my body wants to wear? I'm really actually I tame it down a lot. Um,
Ah, oh, I love that. Well, so you dress for energy or shop for energy. So what about other bodies? Like, what is it? How would you say body whispering works with other bodies for you?
what do you mean?
Well, not only does your body talk with you, it talks to other bodies and other bodies talk to you. So what is that like? How have you learned to,
Oh, so interesting. So I work with an incredible personal trainer here in England, and sometimes we work here at the house. He comes here, and sometimes I go to the gym where he works. And going to the gym is always this like it's like a twofold exercise. It's the exercise of my body, but then it's the psychic exercise of dealing with all the people in the gym. And I saw him I had been at the castle in Italy facilitating two big classes. And then I came back to England and I saw him for the first time. And it was like, I left that gym with so much pain in my back. I was like crippled. I wasn't like crippled, I was crippled. And I was like, fun. So I spent the next week really unwinding all of the psychic awareness that my body was having of all the other bodies in that gym and how much sexual violence and sexual suppression and joy resistance and all this shit that other people were not willing to have with their bodies.
right?
And I was like, okay, so everywhere I've reacted to that, made that real and true, made it my problem, make it even relevant at all, destroy and create all that. And then I went back the next week and I walked in there like the light being that I truly be, and I could sense people's density. And it was just like, I was like Wonder Woman with her like magic bracelets, and it was just like ping, ping, ping. And every body around me changed during the time that I was there.
Mm.
And that's what bodies can do. If your body sets the pitch of energy, other bodies will adjust to that energy, or you will adjust to other bodies' energy. Whose body is most dominant or most loud in the space?
And how loud are you willing to be? I think that's such a brilliant, I know we're ending. I just want to say that is so brilliant because I think a lot of people actually avoid
Oh,
any
yeah.
situation because they are being the effect of it instead of being willing to be that loud energy that actually dominates. I'm going to see myself with the Wonder Woman bracelets now. That's like my new tool. Thank you so much, Shannon, for coming on.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Okay, so we have one more conversation to go. Just checking, am I unmuted? Okay, one more conversation to go. And as we're getting ready for that, in 5 minutes with Simone Milasas, I am going to continue reading on in chapter 3. So this is called, this part section is called Unconsciousness and Anti-Consciousness, the basis of all disease. So all disease, whether it's physical or psychological, whether it presents itself as pain, illness, tiredness, or malaise, is a result of one or both of these two states, unconsciousness and anti-consciousness. And judgment is the critical ingredient in both of these states. We're going to talk more about the effects of judgment throughout the book. Particularly in chapter 5, I often refer to judgment as a killer. It's a killer of possibility and of change. If we go back to the notion that consciousness is where everything exists and nothing is judged, and where nothing is made right and wrong, and nothing is made wrong, then we can get a little closer to understanding unconsciousness and anti-consciousness. So let's continue to unpick and unpack what they are and how they relate to disease. So unconsciousness is akin to unawareness. It's how we live when we're having, it's how we live when we haven't realized our capacity for greatness, and when we haven't recognized our capacity to see through the lies of this reality we've been sold. We're not ready or willing to see the full spectrum of possibilities that are available to us. We live in a narrow way, governed and blindfolded and blinded by judgment. So anti-consciousness is similar in a way that judgment is what fuels it. And it's similar in a way that the person doing anti-consciousness is closed off to how incredible their life could be. But unlike unconsciousness, there's an element of choice involved. So it's akin to self-sabotage. Someone who's anti-conscious, for whatever reason, has made the decision to undo or step away from unconsciousness, even though they know on some level that doing so will limit them personally. It's important to note that anti-consciousness can also be directed at others. Again, it often gets fired in the form of judgments. And when you realize this, you'll get wise to other people's judgments invading your world and your being. Gratefully, we can be armed and ready. Or more accurately, we can be aware of anti-consciousness, and that's where our power lies. So when we're aware and conscious ourselves, we become impermeable to other people's judgments and general anti-consciousness. And here's the great part. Our bodies become a lot lighter and a lot healthier and way happier. Pain, stiffness, disease, it's all a result of unconsciousness and anti-consciousness. When you start to get that, you can start using this awareness to create more space in your body and in your bodies and in the bodies of others. So ready for the science bit? Okay, ellipticals. So your cells, when they are healthy, are spherical in structure. As spheres, they are often they are open and absorbent. As spheres, they do what they need to do to keep us highly functioning and free from disease, and they do it well. In recent years, scientists have discovered that the spherical structures of a cell is jeopardized and changed by thoughts and feelings and emotions. Our judgments and points of view can actually alter the energetic matrix of a cell from spherical to elliptical. And here's the key. An elliptical cell structure is, scientists say, the basis for disease. This includes stiffness, pain, and any other physical presentation and any psychological presentation too. Do you get the magnitude of that? The judgment we harbor, whether they are ours or given to us, we'll go into that, and we'll go into that in more depth later on in the book. Actually, get locked into ourselves, into the bodies, and manifest as disease. Okay, I think that's a good place to finish up. Do we have our next guests ready? We have Simone Milasas. or do we need a few minutes? Yes.
I'm here.
Hi, Simone.
Hello.
I am here too.
Amazing.
To pee, body.
It happens when you're on a couple of hour long thing.
Exactly. Hey, welcome, Simone. Thank you for being up.
Thank you, Katarina.
So
Yeah.
welcome to Europe. Simone just arrived here for like a long tour all through Europe, lots of different classes. She may still be a little bit on Australia time, I'm thinking.
I am, yes, but you know what? I'm very grateful that we just have this because my alarm went off like, I don't know, 30, 40 minutes ago. And I was like, oh, it was like literally the middle of the night. So I might be a bit docile, but I'm here. I have
You
to get
are.
into your time zone. That's what I'm asking for.
Well, and so this is a great, example. So how do you whisper to your body when you know you have to get up? Like you have to get up, you had this, coming up. So how do you talk with your body in those kind of cases when you're kind of like, hey body, we're doing this, even though it seems
Yeah.
crazy?
Okay, it's a good question, and I would say it changes and it depending on what's going on. Like yesterday, I arrived in Vienna, Austria, and it was like I said I was going to meet up with David Kubis, and I said I'm going to have a nap, and then I left him a message like 2 hours later. And I was like, I am not seeing you. I'm going to go to sleep, and I knew that meant that I would probably be up, early this morning, but I was so tired. So sometimes I'll just let my body do what it's going to do because it might sleep for 6 hours, it might sleep for 12 hours. And so I've been up since 1 a.m. this morning in Vienna time. I was actually talking to Laura at like my 3 a.m. and I went, you haven't gone to bed yet, have you? And she's like, no. And I was already like up and at 'em. I'd already done a Pilates session and had coffee and everything. But then somewhere like today or tomorrow, I'm starting to head into a schedule that I need to be awake, like for class and things like that. So now this is actually good. Like even though, getting up when alarm goes off might be not so easy, but I'll do things so that you can start to get into that schedule of where you're at. It's an interesting thing because I travel like 8 months of the year, 7 months of the year. So it's constant. Mm. And how do you be kind with your body at the same time as, hey, I've got to be awake for class?
Yeah. Well, if we look at like you travel a lot and I would say that you've also explored a lot body whispering, like how to talk with your body and like how to have a conversation with it. So can you talk about how that's changed like over time? Like how did you learn to have a closer connection with your body?
Well, I caught the end of Heather being on, but I caught Shannon's summary of some stuff that Heather was saying, and then also what Shannon was saying. I find it interesting so far is that I think a lot of us have become more in communion with our bodies through, and I don't mean to be dramatic, but through some sort of pain and suffering, like something where, I like to say, like that thing of like where you get hit in the back of the head by a 2x4. Does that make sense in any other language? Like a 2x4, like the wood. But here's the thing, what if that's also a light feather touch? And I'd say for the last, I think 3 years, 3.5 years, I've had a few things going with my body that I had to stop. I had to stop and go, okay, what's going on? Like once in London when I was just bedridden, in Australia when I had to get taken to hospital in an ambulance because I couldn't walk, which was interesting because a friend of mine said, oh my God, that was the worst thing to be around. That was horrible. And all these adjectives that described what went on. And yeah, he was watching me in a lot of pain. So I get that piece. But I said, no, it wasn't. It was such a gift. And it was, I got a CT scan of my body. So then there was some stuff that I found out about that helped me, I guess, be more in communion with my body to then go, okay, so body, what is it that you're asking for? Not what is it that I'm forcing it to do? And I have definitely over the years forced my body to do many things, whether that is stay up late at night or eat certain foods or drink or take drugs many, many years ago. Definitely, like I wasn't in question with my body. I was like, no, we're doing this.
Right.
And it was more of a force and a control of my body. Definitely not in communion with it than anything else. I didn't even know what that meant, Kat. Like it didn't even make any sense to me. I was like, what do you mean be in communion with your body? It's like I tell it what to do. And definitely that's how I lived my life for a really long time. With sports, with everything, you're forcing it into something. And I've told this story a couple of times, but for me it really makes sense is when I ended up in hospital a year, 2 years ago, I don't know, time is like
Yeah. Undefined. Yes.
yeah, I was meant to go to Italy for a class that Dain was doing called Maestro, and I really wanted to go to Italy. Like, I really wanted to go to Italy. And I think that's a really key piece too. You should have a look at how you speak and how you think. Because when you start doing that, I want to do this, I want to go for a run, I want to eat this, I want to, all of that, stop and go, okay, but does my body? Like even say with food, I remember one time going, oh, I really like this sauce. And Gary Douglas, the founder of Access, was there and he said, does your body? And I went, oh, that's interesting. I really like this sauce, but does my body? And anyway, so I really wanted to go to Italy and I could hear my body every day when I woke up going, like, are you kidding me? I'm not about to travel 24 hours to get to Italy, to be on planes, to be in a hotel, to be doing, all this sort of stuff. That's not going to be fun. And I was grateful enough that my body was sort of downloading me and showing me something that I went, oh, I'm going to be like hobbling around, like, like there was nothing calming about it. There was no ease about it. And I said to Gary, how do you choose by being in communion with your body? Because at the moment, it's just a fight and it's a conflict. And I realized that that was so familiar to me was fight and conflict. And so every day I kept being in question, asking questions, and I was in bed a lot and I was getting up and trying to move as much as I could just to get movement but not from force, just from, this is what is working. And after 3 days, I woke up and there was just this, I mean, I'm in Australia, you can hear the birds, you can hear the ocean. It sounds like some fairy tale, but I could hear all of that. And I went, oh, I'm not going to Italy. And there was this calmness and this peace in that choice that I was making. And I went, oh gosh, that's what it's like to choose while being in communion with your body. And ever since then, I've used that energy, because there's an energy that just sung together and was harmonious. And so I can sense when I'm doing this separate thing and it's going into force or control. And to be honest, one of the things I noticed too, it was like my organs would just start to clamp up. So now it's like if I can feel my organs like all scrunched up together or something like this, I'm like, okay, what am I not choosing that is with my body? And then I'll start to ask questions, because there is a sense of peace and almost like a relief when I'm choosing with my body. That's for me. And I get everyone is different and everybody has their own way.
Well, Dane put it in a slightly similar way in the first part, where he said that once you start like talking with your body, having communion with your body, you start having this energetic vibration with your body that kind of like what you were talking about, the humming, like the harmonious piece. And then it's not about the words, it's actually about perceiving, oh, that now we're choosing in tune somehow. So that's so beautiful. And then another thing you said that I want to ask about is this. You talk about like, what's the gift in this, basically? What's the gift in what occurred? And I've been asking everybody about like, how do you perceive what's going on when you're in pain? So it seems like you also use that. What's the gift here? What am I learning here to kind of
I think there's always a gift. If any sort of pain, I'm saying pain and suffering because we tend to love to suffer with our pain, right? It's like people love to talk about it and it go, it's this, oh, Dios mío, and there's always a gift every single time. There's always a gift, always a gift. And I mean, I broke my ankle years ago, and I lived on the top part of my house for like 6 weeks, pretty much. Like you weren't supposed to put any weight, on it, etc. Man, did I learn about receiving, because I had to ask for help. I had to ask for help from so many different people. And I literally, one day I remember making coffee, and I'm on my crutches, and I'm like over making coffee, made the coffee, and I sat, and then I went to take coffee, and I went, oh, I can't go anywhere with my coffee. Like I couldn't carry it. I had my crutches, and so I sat there at my kitchen, and I went, okay, so I'm just going to drink my coffee here. And then you had to work things out. I had a stool over near the coffee thing. So I would literally sit on this stool and drink coffee in the morning and, look out the window. And there were so many different elements that you had to pivot and change what you would usually do. But definitely receiving, like I said, I had to ask for help. So that was a really big part of that for me. And I think your body is continuously showing you things. There was another episode, I'm going to say, because they are, is I hurt my shoulder, and I was at Pilates, and I was doing these wall handstands, and my Pilates instructor, who's incredible, she was showing me a different way to do it, and I was doing it, and I did it like twice or 3 times or something, and it was great. And I said, I'm going to do another one. And she said to me, does your body want to? And I was like, yeah, it's so much fun, and just did it. And then I hurt my shoulder. And as I was talking to Gary later, he said to me, because I went to say, but it was, and he goes, don't you tell me it was so much fun. And I went, but it was. And he said to me, every time you go to, this is so much fun, you need to stop. And I got a little cranky because I was like, what? It was fun. And I went for a walk on the beach. And I'm walking on the beach, and I went, what does he mean by that? And I started looking at it, and I went, oh, as soon as I go to, this is so much fun, I stop being in question. And it's like the same thing. Like if you're eating food and you're going, oh my God, this tastes so good. And then you keep eating it because it tastes so good. How many times do you stop being in question? So for me, I go, okay, if I go to, this is so much fun, this tastes so good, or this is da da da, it's like, am I coming out of question now? And what question could I ask to check in with my body and see if it's still desirous of whatever it is that we're choosing? So it's constant conversation and constant, being in question with your body.
Well, I love that. I love that example of how quickly we go to conclusion with everything, and how that is like part of being in conversation. Your body is like a 10-second creature. So like being in the question continuously with your body is one of the like really what keys to the kingdom of having a communion. So that was such a beautiful example. And I actually want
Can I give one more with this, because this is one of the things that just so spun me out, is when I hurt my back, and then I wanted to go. I love going hiking, right? For me, being out in nature hiking is just lovely. And this is what occurred, because I was like, oh, how far can I hike? So I would talk to my body, and I'd go, okay, we're about to go. How far we walk, we have to go back, right? So I was giving it the information. That's how far we have to go back. So can you show me when we're done? Because we have to do the same amount back. And it was so interesting to me when I really listened. And sometimes, because it was, I was in a lot of pain, sometimes it was like 10 minutes, and my body go, now. And I'd go, oh. And I noticed the moment that I would have gone, no, we can go further. And I went, no, but my body's saying, hey, we did 10 minutes here. We have to do 10 minutes back. Let's turn around. And I was so interested to see, as soon as I gave my body the information, which I would quite often do, like go, hey, we have to get up at this time because we have class. So are you still good with staying awake, or are you still good with this? Like, it's almost like giving an animal the information of when you're about to, go away somewhere or do something. So that's been amazing to me.
And it creates this, like, I said when I was home with Dain, I talked about this thing that I have often in my head, you and me body. And you have this thing with your horse where you say, hey, you, me, Pluma. And when I've been around you with your horse, there is a lot of receiving with your body. Like there's I don't know, my best description is like there's a softness. It's like you just so I wanted to ask you if you could talk about what you've learned from Pluma about your body, or how that has changed as you've been, playing with her quite a lot the 2 years.
Trusting my body big time. Actually, I was just talking to Dain about this on a podcast that I did that we're releasing in a couple of weeks. Pluma is my horse. Someone's asking, and when I ride, I'll go, it's you and me, Pluma, because similar to what Shannon was saying, like when you go to the gym and there's all these other people around. So that's a place where I'd go, okay, and I love going to my gym, but I have got that like, hey, it's me and my body and my trainer. It's like that's who's there. Even though everyone else is there, it's whatever they've got going on. It's okay. And same, so when you're riding with a whole bunch of people, I used to tap into everything. And it's sort of like this energy of how do you tap into all of that, but also go, hey, it's you and me, Pluma. So if you're riding next to me and your horse is like, right, going crazy, it's okay. We got this. It's you and me. So that's what I have done. But there is an exercise in Conscious Horse, Conscious Rider called the trust exercise. And part of it is you get on a horse bareback, and usually you've got someone holding the horse and then two people on either side, and you're bareback, and you can lie back on the horse or whatever, but it's your body and the horse, and it's quite an interesting exercise to do. And the first time I did it, I couldn't do it. Basically, I was like, I couldn't lie back. I was just slipping all over the place and just couldn't do it. And then I noticed every time that exercise was available to do around horses in a class, I would go find something else to do because I was like, oh, no, it's okay. I've done that before. And I would just avoid it. And I started asking myself, what is this? And I went, oh, I don't trust my body. I don't trust my body with the horse's body. And if you're horse riding, you've got to trust your body. It's not about you controlling it. It's about trusting your body and the horse. So that is sort of a demand that I made of myself to get out of my own way and start trusting my body with the horse's body and in all of those components together. And now it's like, I practice every time I see Pluma, it's like I practice riding her bareback on my own. It's like doing figure eights, because when you're riding, to me, when you're doing bareback, like turning around, like and doing that's the hardest part for me in this moment, like rather than just going in a straight line. But now I will lie back on her. I'll do all these things, and you don't have, it's not blind faith. It's trusting, how's her body? Where's she at today? Where am I at today? Where's my body at today? And yeah, but that would be the biggest thing that I got was I didn't trust my body. So I made that demand. Okay, what would it be like to actually trust my body?
Yeah, that's amazing. And then, so taking that, how do you body whisper with other bodies, not just horses, but all other bodies? Like Shannon had the example of how, she changed it in the gym, but you facilitate a lot. You also, you move around in the world. So what would you say has changed over the years in the way you body whisper?
That's actually interesting. Thank you for asking that question, because I just realized for me, it's been way easier. Wow, thank you. It's been way easier to hear other people's bodies because I don't have a point of view.
Right.
Thank you. I realized with my body, I had a point of view. We can do another wall handstand. We can hike longer. We can do whatever it is. And it's more about control and force. Whereas when you're facilitating a class, man, your bodies are loud. You can hear them when, it's like, oh, this 10 seconds, I was talking to people and they could hear me. This 10 seconds, I just lost the room because their bodies are going, we need something different. We need to pee. We need salt. We need sugar. We need water. We need something, and you can hear them just basically leave the room. Like I was just with a friend of mine today and we had lunch and then got in the elevator and there was just something that occurred and I went, hey, are you okay? And I said, what's going on? I could perceive you just disconnect. And it was like disconnecting from me, us, my body, his body, and he went, yeah, he said, I was just thinking about da 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 and went. And so, I mean, I didn't have a point of view. I was just like, can I help you with something? Because I could perceive something just disconnect and go somewhere else, and like that thinking mode. So yeah, I guess that's really, yeah, a lot easier.
And it's so brilliant example too, because I think that the fact that you didn't have a point of view in the elevator allowed you to perceive the disconnect, because you don't have to handle it, you don't have to fix it, you don't have to react to it. You can just
Yeah.
perceive it. Can I contribute? And if you can't, that's okay. So that's also, we could go through the world body whispering from awareness, just being aware of all of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And well, thank you for asking that. What would it take for me to have no point of view with my own body? Because do you know what the funny thing is? So many of us don't have a point of view of other bodies. Like we think everyone's judging our body continuously, you know, and it's like they don't have the time. They're so busy judging themselves. And it's like, so what if we didn't judge ourselves at all? Like, what if that was a demand we could make of ourselves right now? Is that we do the absolute best we can. Don't lie to ourselves. I don't think I know one person who doesn't judge their body 100%. Like I know a lot of people who will judge and come out of it just as quickly as they go into it, but 100%. What would it take for just this moment to go from now on? I make the demand of myself that I stop judging my body as much as I possibly can, and then tomorrow I'm going to do that more. The next day, even more and more and more and more.
Yes, that. And I think that is a brilliant place to end at. Thank you so much. What would it
Basically,
take?
gratitude.
Gratitude, non-judgment. Wow. Thank you so much for coming on. And what else
You're
is
so welcome. Thank you for waking my body up so it can be on Europe time zone.
so welcome. Bye, everyone. Bye.